Now it's time for another Board Game Brawl preview with Nick Minahan, sponsored by BoardGameBliss.com.
Hey now, my name is Nick, this is Board Game Brawl, and today we're taking a look at a game that is currently seeking funding on Kickstarter. That game is called Project Dreamscape, and it is from Undini Studios. And as a side note, this video came about because of a very generous contribution from the designers and publishers of Project Dreamscape to the Jack Vassell Memorial Fund. So thank you very much for that, and I'm going to have a link down in the description to the Jack Vassell Memorial Fund page where you can find out more information about that. And if you like what you see throughout the rest of this video, I would encourage you to follow the link at the bottom of your screen and also down in the description of this video. That will take you to the Kickstarter project page for Project Dreamscape, where you can find out even more information about the game and hopefully consider backing it. Now, what is Project Dreamscape? Well, it's a card game, but thematically speaking, there is this dream experiment going on. There's a group of scientists who are having this experiment with this powerful machine that can actually read and interpret and manipulate people's dreams, but only people with very strong wills can actually go into the machine and utilize it. You are those people, and mechanically speaking, you have these cards representing different states of the dreams, and you're trying to manipulate those in order to have the best project evaluation at the end, which means the most victory points. Let's go ahead and take a brief look at how the game is played, then we're going to come back. I'll let you know what I think. Okay, I'm going to give you a very brief overview of Project Dreamscape. This is a competitive game for 2 to 4 players where the goal is to have the most points at the end. But thematically speaking, you and the other players are participants in a dream experiment. You're hooked up to this machine and you are particularly strong-willed, so you can actually manipulate and change your own dreams. And you want to have the best evaluation by the end of the game. The end of the game happens when you can no longer fill up this row of 5 cards called the Dreamscape. Now, this deck of cards, called the Sleep Deck, is where all these other cards that are on the table have been derived from. And there are 52 total cards in that deck before you deal them out. And each of them on the other side is going to have 2 different dream states on them. And I'm going to get back to those in a minute and explain a little more detail what they do. But during the setup, you're going to shuffle them up and you're going to put 5 of them out here at random, and then you're going to deal 1 card face down to each player. And the players are not actually going to flip these over or use them as their other printed side. Instead, this is the start of your sleep stack, your deep sleep stack, and these are what you're going to use as Z cards, like zzz, like you're sleeping. I never really got that, but you're going to use those in order to purchase the cards that are out in the Dreamscape. Now, your ultimate goal in this game, and the way that you're going to be scoring points, is by putting these dream cards into your REM deck. Now, this is, or your REM pile. Now, this is not actually pictured here yet. You're going to be taking these cards and putting them into the starts of your REM stack. And at the end of the game, what you want to do is have chains of the same types of dreams. Like I said, every one of these cards has 2 different types of dreams on them, and you can never change the order unless a card tells you to of the cards in your REM stack, so that at the end of the game, when you can no longer fill up this row of 5 cards from the deck, in other words, the deck is running out of cards, you're going to lay out all the cards in your REM stack and look for chains of the same types of dream cards. And depending on the number of cards in that chain, you're going to score a different amount of points. So that's what you want to do, and that's what you want to keep in mind as you play the game. So, on a player's turn, they're going to do 3 things. First thing they're going to do is their deep sleep accumulation. As I said before, this is the start of your deep sleep stack. So the next thing that you're going to do at the start of your turn is you're going to take a card off the top of the sleep deck and you're going to put it into your pile of cards, becoming a Z card. These are the cards that you're going to use as a sort of currency to get more dream cards. Now, the problem with this is that at the end of the game, the number of cards in your deep sleep stack are going to count against you. The scientists who are studying you don't want to see you fall into too many deep sleep patterns, I guess. So at the end of the game, those are going to be negative points against you. But you do need those cards in order to get more of the dream cards. So it's sort of a balancing act. The next phase in your turn is directing your sleep. This is where you're going to use those cards that you've been putting into your deep sleep stack to purchase those dream cards. To do that, you're going to count the cards that you have in your stack, turn as many of them as you want to use sideways, indicating that you've used them for this turn, and then you must purchase one of the cards from the Dreamscape. You cannot not do that. You must purchase a card. Now, the number of cards that you have to, of your Z cards that you have to turn sideways and use this turn depends on where the card is in the lineup. The older cards, now at the beginning of the game, all the cards have been there for the same length of time, but when you have to replenish the lineup at the end of your turn, you're going to move the older cards down from left down to right, and those will be cheaper cards, such that the cost of the cards are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 points. That's how many cards that you have to turn sideways in order to purchase the card. So the cards furthest to the right are cheapest, the cards furthest to the left are more expensive. Now, you can purchase as many cards as you want, but those cards are not going to replenish right away. You have to wait until the end of your turn during essentially the cleanup, where let's say that these 2 cards were purchased, then the other cards will slide down and new cards will come out, and then it will be the next person's turn. Now, when you do purchase cards, let's just say, for the sake of argument, I had a few cards here, so I was able to purchase these 2. Each card that you buy is going to go onto the top of your rem stack. And remember, like I said, you cannot just go willy-nilly moving around the cards in your rem stack. They have to keep the order that they're in. But as soon as you put that card in the stack, you orient it on one of the 2 sides of the card, and then you perform the action that is dictated on the card. And once you get done resolving the action, if you purchase more than 1 card, you'll purchase another card, turn over the appropriate Z cards, and then put the other card on top of the stack. Again, orient it the way you want to orient it, and take the appropriate action. And now at this point, I'll go ahead and go over each of the different dreamscapes and dream states that these special abilities that you'll use throughout the game. And so, in no particular order, first off we have Shifting Dreams. You get to rearrange the cards in the dreamscape. So if you want a card to be cheaper, or if you want it to be more expensive for your opponents, you can move them around. Then you have Perfect Respite. You get to simply take the top card off of the sleep stack and take it as a Z card to add to your own deep sleep stack, and namely you need to purchase more in future turns. Collective Dream lets you copy the top card off of opponent's rem stack and use its special ability. You have Interrupted Sleep. You get to flip a card in the dreamscape, making it into either a Z card or flipping it back into a dream state card, and then you can purchase that card as normal. Floating Free lets you pull a dream card from your rem stack and then play it on top of the stack and use its ability again. That also is one of the few things that will change the order of the cards in your stack. Lucid Dreaming lets you reserve a card in the dreamscape. So if you can't purchase it right now, but you really want that card because you're trying to build a longer chain or for whatever reason, you can simply put that card aside and purchase it on your next turn. Recurring Dream, you get to replay the dream card that is directly under the one that is under this card. And finally, Night Terrors, you get to choose an opponent and they must discard one of their Z cards. So that's what all the special cards do, and play is going to continue like that until the deck runs out and you can no longer put 5 cards out into the dreamscape. At that point, the game ends and players count up their points. To count up their points, each player is going to spread out their rem stack of cards, and this is just sort of a mock-up. There will probably be more or less cards in the stack depending on the state of the game, and you're trying to look at chains. You're trying to look at same types of dreams that are groups together in their rem stack. You cannot change the order, and looking at both sides of the card and seeing which dream states link up together. You'll get an escalating amount of points depending on how many cards of each type that you have in the chain. You subtract the cards in your deep sleep stack as negative points. Whoever has the most points at that point is the winner of the game. They are the best test subject for the Dream Machine. Now, let's get to my final thoughts. I've said multiple times on my channel in the past that I enjoy card games where you can use a card for multiple different things, and Project Dreamscape does that in what I think is a pretty unique way. First off, you can use the cards that you have in your sleep stack, your Z cards, as currency to purchase more cards from the Dreamscape. Of course, those cards can cost you negative points at the end of the game, but you do need them to get more cards, so it's going to be tough for you to balance that out and figure out how many points, negative points you're willing to take at the end of the game from having too much deep sleep. So there's one interesting thing that you have of multiple different things going on with the cards, but also the cards that you purchase from the Dreamscape each have one of two different special abilities, the Dreamscape abilities. You have to decide which one is best for you to use when you purchase the card, and they have a wide variety of effects. They can be hitting your opponent, making them discard a card from their sleep stack. They could be reusing a card in your REM stack, or using the one just underneath that card. There's a lot of different things that could happen, and again, I like that idea of having a lot of different things that you can do. The game also uses a mechanism that I enjoy, that I've seen in a lot of other games. Particularly, I call this the small world mechanic, where you have a row of cards that you can purchase, but only they get cheaper as you go outwards. The cards that have been sitting there longest are cheapest for you to buy, so you might want to, since you want to purchase as many cards as possible and use their special abilities, you might want to go for those cheaper cards, but perhaps one of the cards that is further back, that is more expensive, is going to be more useful for you at that particular time in the game. So there is some important decisions to be made there. So there is a level of strategy and depth to it that you wouldn't necessarily think from seeing what looks like just quote-unquote a card game. And on top of all of this, you have a really unique art style, probably one of the most unique art styles I've seen in quite a while, that really lends itself to the theme of this being this dream that you're going through, that you, as sort of a strong-willed subject of this experiment, is trying to go through and manipulate this dream. And that actually ties back to the gameplay as a whole, because you are constantly, like I said, using cards for multiple things. You're constantly bending and changing and shaping reality to your whim, because it is your dream. So there's a lot of interesting things here, and if you are interested in the game as well, I would urge you to follow the link at the bottom of the screen, and then down in the comment section, the description section below this video, that will take you to the Kickstarter page. You can find out even more information about Project Dreamscape, and hopefully consider backing it. That is Project Dreamscape from Ingenie Studios. My name is Nick, this has been Board Game Brawl, and I'm reminding you to get out there and game every day and in every way. Take care.
Thanks for watching. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Patreon. And make sure to check out our sponsor, Board Game Bliss, where you can find an amazing selection of games from around the world. BoardGameBliss.com. Thanks for your support.